Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for part 6 of the natural healing testimonies. And what these are people who follow me have been sending me their testimonies, and what I've been doing is compiling them into different videos and sharing them. And so these are people who either quit doing medications or just opted out of having surgery or opted out of taking any kind of prescription medicine and look for natural alternatives that help them through whatever it was. So let me get to the first story right now. I suffered from chronic anxiety for decades and took a medication for a long time. One day I discovered a plant in my garden, purple dead nettle. I made a tincture, and after a few months, I no longer needed to take it daily. I seldom need to take it now. My anxiety is almost non-existent. Love that. Next one. I have been studying karate for 21 years and have had a shoulder injury due to an undiagnosed dislocation for years. I had been told I would need shoulder surgery, but chose to suck it up and take it easy when needed, as I could live with a little pain. Recently, it was too much to bear and was pretty much convinced I would have to go under the knife, but then I saw your testimonial on comfrey. I used a comfrey oil I had made for my horse on my shoulder, and praise God, it worked. I am forever thankful to God and his guidance through your counsel. God bless you and yours. Pass on the good. So just real quickly, I've actually have a few testimonies I could say about comfrey, but the most recent one was when I believe it's either a fracture or a really, really bad sprain that I got on my big toe, and it was so painful. And some people said, well, it could have been gout, which that was my first thought, because I was sure I didn't do anything that would have fractured my toe because I wasn't thinking it through. So I started doing the natural treatments that one would do for gout, even though I've never had it before. My father, my brother, both have had to deal with it, so I thought that was a very good possibility. But none of that stuff was working. And then I got to thinking back what I'd been doing the previous days and realized it was a repetitive action that I had been doing that actually caused the injury on my toe. And so once I figured that out, I started doing a comfrey soak with arnica and also Epsom salts, doing that twice a day. And actually the very first soak, it was almost immediately, it was tolerable, where I was having a hard time sleeping at night because it hurt so bad. I'd be crying myself to sleep. And it was amazing how quickly it worked. But I did continue to do the soak for twice a day for at least a week just to make sure. And yeah, it's doing really good. Okay, next story. I had a large mole on my neck. My doctor said it wasn't a concern, but she could remove it if it bothered me. It definitely bothered me, but my insurance wouldn't pay for what it called cosmetic procedures. I read that castor oil could remove moles. I started out putting it on the mole and covering it with a Band-Aid. After a while, I just rubbed castor oil on it whenever I thought about it. It took a little while, I'd say a couple weeks, but it shriveled up and fell off. No more annoying mole on my neck. There is just a small pink spot where it used to be, which I would assume that would completely fade over time. This one is actually several. It's one person, but she had several different ones that she shared on this. I would be remiss if I didn't say I believe the greatest healing comes to us through God, who has provided us with many forms of healing by nature and natural means. After watching the first natural healing testimonies, I didn't think I had anything to testify about. However, while watching part 2, as I was listening to the testimony about D. Manos, I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, it reminded me of as well as my husband's healing with L-lysine. And what that is, it's an amino acid. Several years ago, I developed a sore, raised white patch near my lower back molar. The tooth is filled with an old amalgam filling that I suspect is the real cause of the irritation. I was diagnosed with oral lichen planus, never heard of it, and was given a prescription for a mouthwash containing prednisone as a treatment. decided to pass on that. Somewhere along the way, I read how helpful L-lysine had been for someone else who had the same diagnosis. After about a week of taking L-lysine, my mouth was back to normal. My husband has had issues with cold sores all his life. When he saw the bottle of lysine, he had recognized the lysine as the ingredient in the topical cold sore treatment he used. Quantum Health Super Lysine Cold Stick. I'm sure there are other brands of the products that we use that are also effective. This is what works for us. I'm always interested to learn what brands people have success with, so that is why I'm including this information. After taking the lysine for a couple of days, he said he felt it had helped with the pain and reduced the time it took to heal. Now he takes lysine anytime he thinks he may be getting a cold sore. We don't take lysine on a regular basis, only when we have a flare-up. Personally, that's how I think people should look at any supplement, is just taking it when they really need it. So that's the way I am. I only take I might be more apt to take vitamin C on a daily basis, but pretty much everything else, I only take it when I feel I really need it. Then we take one 500 milligram capsule of lysine from BRI Nutrition Daily until a few days after our symptoms are gone. We would probably never have flare-ups if we took it daily, but taking it this way works fine for us. I still think that's the best way to go about it personally. After watching part 2, as I was reading the comment section, I noticed one comment from someone who wondered if there was a natural treatment for restless leg syndrome. I remember that. I have experienced the frustration of restless legs since my teens. Last winter, I started taking magnesium for constipation. It works great for that, with no side effects for me. As a bonus, my restless leg syndrome has been non-existent. Very cool. Another huge bonus, I've had a major reduction in muscle spasms, aka Charlie horses. I told my doctor all about this and he said, yeah, magnesium's great. Most people are deficient. I wish I had known this years ago. The brands of magnesium I use are Now Magnesium Citrate, 400 milligrams, and Oxy Powder Natural Digestive Cleanse by Global Healing. My dosage varies, but usually it's one of each every night. This dosage is less than the recommended amount, but it is what works best for me. Kidney stones run in my husband's family, and he suffered his first one about 9 years ago. He began throwing up with a fever and back pain so bad we ended up going to ER, where he learned kidney stones were the cause. He did pass those kidney stones, but would develop new ones that he would painfully pass, until finally he had one too large to pass. It was awful watching him suffer through a painful, humiliating, and barbaric surgery. About a year later, I watched Remove Painful Calcium Deposits from Your Body on Dr. Mandel's Motivational Doc YouTube channel. I like to give credit, if I ever remember the source of helpful information. He mentioned Chanca Piedra. I've come across that before in one of my videos. The stone breaker. Yep, that's where I came across it. Was it kidney health or liver health? I can't remember if I did one on kidney. I must have. A plant grown in the tropics known to help break up kidney stones. It does. Anytime my husband feels one coming on, he starts taking 2 Stonebreaker Chanca Piedra by Au Naturel a day. He has not suffered passing a large stone since we found out about this fantastic herb. Again, if he took it regularly, he would probably never get stones, but we prefer to take as little as possible, even of natural things. I hope someone finds these testimonials helpful. I do agree with that. I only take, even with the natural things, the herbs and stuff, I only take certain ones, things like comfrey. You can drink a comfrey tea. Some people will have comfrey tea every day, but I only take it internally like that if I think I need it. And certain other herbs, horsetail would be another one. I'd only take it if I felt I really need it and made a tea out of it. And that's the way I feel about pretty much all herbs. I think they all should be kind of spread out and taken just as needed. I mean, people have been talking about how, oh, I heard that you can only take echinacea for 5 days or 7 days or 2 weeks, and you shouldn't, and then you got to take a break from it. Well, generally speaking, I think that's the way people should look at all herbs. You know, some people can take certain ones every day, but even with peppermint, as safe as it is, I find that if I drink too much peppermint tea, too often, too many times in a row, my stomach, I start to have issues with my stomach, and that could be because it's a natural antibacterial, and I think it probably, that much peppermint tea probably disrupts some of that gut flora. So that's why, that's just another one of those things. You got to look at, no matter how safe an herb or any natural thing is, especially when it comes to taking it internally, I think moderation is really important. And plus, I think it helps things work better if you're not doing it all the time. But it's going to depend on the person and the herb and what it is. I love, in the wintertime, I drink a lot of spices. I got to thinking about that. It's like, man, I have spices in some form every single day. I should probably give my body a break from those too every now and then. So just some things to consider. And anyway, if you have a natural remedy testimony you would like to share and have me read in a future video, because I have no idea how long this series is going to go on, then please email that to me under the title Natural Healing or Healing Testimony, and send it to raincountryhomestead@gmail.com, and I'll drop it in the appropriate folder. If you don't hear right back from me, don't worry. Sometimes I'm going through a lot of emails and I'm just sorting them out and dropping them where they go, and I don't have time to respond to every single one. But just so you know, I don't always reply to those all the time because of that, especially if it's a Sunday morning, because that's, you know, I don't do any of that stuff on Saturday. So Sunday morning, I get up early and I start going through all my emails and comments and whatnot. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and be watching for more yet to come. And if you haven't seen the previous videos in this series, please go to the playlist link I'll be putting in the description box down below, as well as the link to my playlist on herbs and more, where I break down the benefits and uses of individual herbs and spices and much more. And please, you can share any of your testimonies down below. I just won't be gathering those for future videos from the comments, but feel free to share those in comments down below so other people can read them. And because it might be a while, even if you want it to go in a video, it could be a while before I get to it, because I've been getting a lot of these in. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.